All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with two members of a band that was on the show. Was it last year or was it the year before? I can't even remember now, but it was a while back. And there's been a lot that's gone on, I think, for the band in that time since. So I think the best way to start this off is if the two of you want to introduce yourselves and what it is you do in the band, and then we can sort of, listeners can put a name to the voice. So whoever wants to go first, I'll just throw it out there.
Okay, I'll go first. Jude pointed at me. Okay, I'm Wyatt. I play drums and I also do some vocals, screaming and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm Jude. I play guitar. That's I just play guitar. Yeah,
Just play
that's about
guitar.
it.
And so I guess like I mean one of the cool things that happened since I had you on the show is I think that a lot of people obviously a lot of people knew about Hopscotchbattlescars before, but a lot of people that I know that hadn't heard you before heard you on the podcast and then went and checked out your music and really dug it and got into it. And I think that it seems like over the time since then, you've been sort of everywhere. Like I keep seeing, shows happening and you have all this cool merch and there's new songs coming out and you have new music that's kind of on the horizon. So assuming it was a year ago, because I can't remember when it actually was.
It was
What
like
is
last July or something,
okay?
I
Yeah,
think.
that sounds about right. Yeah, yeah.
Before the EP came out.
It
So
was
the EP
before our
came out
first
in
show
what?
even, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So it would have
okay.
been 2021,
So
July,
there's been
probably.
obviously a ton of stuff that's happened then. So
Yeah.
do you want to just give me like a Cole's notes of kind of what's happened with the band? All the high points, I guess, in the time since.
Yeah, we've played a bunch of shows, a lot of fucking shows. We put out a bunch of music since then. We put out our EP. We put out a couple splits. Put out a promo at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Um, it's been a while. I'm just like trying to remember
For
everything that's happened.
For sure, yeah. Like, well,
Yeah.
like I said, your name seems to be popping up more and more, which is great. It's good to see that you seem to be gaining in notoriety or whatever you want to call it, within the city and then hopefully beyond too. Um, have you noticed things changing, for you as a band over the past year or two in terms of just sort of the type of shows you're getting, or maybe opening yourselves up to new audiences and maybe reaching people that you wouldn't have otherwise sort of expected to reach?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so we kind of started playing some smaller shows, but then pretty quickly, we just started getting offered bigger and bigger shows, and now we're at the point where, most of the time we're just playing pretty large shows at large venues with large bands. And I think, yeah, that whatever, playing a bunch of smaller shows in different venues with different bands, getting exposed to other people, new audiences and stuff. I feel like, yeah, now we're kind of at a point where we've got a pretty large audience after grinding and playing shows for different groups. Yeah, it took a while, but
Yeah, yeah, it always kind of does, right? For to get to that point. One of the things that I don't think we talked about last time, and I was meaning to ask you this is, obviously your songs, a lot of them anyway, are very very much you're very outspoken about your values and your beliefs and I don't want to call it politics because I don't think it's necessarily that, but it's your viewpoints on a lot of issues. It's right there in loud screaming format. And you're obviously not a hardcore band, but you're definitely playing a lot of shows with some bands from the hardcore scene. And not to say the Winnipeg scene is like this, but hardcore in general as a genre tends to have this kind of like macho attitude associated with it. And you're doing something that is obviously subverting that, just in sort of the subject matter and it's just the way that you're visually presenting yourselves as a band too. Has that ever come into conflict, or do you feel like people are now at this point in 2023 sort of more accepting of something that's outside of the norm, I guess, of what they expect at a hardcore show?
Well, like I feel like we don't like play traditional hardcore, but I feel
For
we've
sure,
been
yeah.
pretty accepted because I know for me, personally, I do put a lot of work into our local hardcore scene, and that's kind of the people I know here. Like I book a lot of hardcore shows here now, so a lot of those people have kind of been pretty cool with us. I've found just because we give back to the hardcore scene a lot, bringing a lot of new people into it. So they're a little more open to accepting our differences in like the traditional attitude, maybe, or like the traditional sound of hardcore. Because we do still embody the kind of values of it, I feel.
Yeah, it's why did you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I know where you're coming from, saying that hardcore is kind of macho. It's got that kind of vibe.
I think it's like
And
it's
yeah,
stereotyped with that, right? It's got that
it
tag hung
definitely,
on it, whether it's true or not. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But there's that sense there that if you come to a hardcore show, it's just a bunch of beefy guys, whatever, beating each other up and being all whatever. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, just being very upfront about our whatever our thoughts and opinions on matters, as to not say politics. Um, yeah, I think it's oh geez, totally lost my train of thought there. Um, yeah, it's like we're just really being clear about like, oh, we're gonna do this. We're not going anywhere. We're just like, this is what we like doing. This is who we are. We want to be a part of this scene, which already like has this kind of connotation of like, this is who it is. We are the macho people. But we're like, no, 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 we want to be a part of this. So we're just going to, and we're gonna be really upfront about it so that there isn't any problems. And there hasn't really been any problems because like who's gonna want to fuck with us? I don't know. I think we're a pretty hardcore group of kids.
Yeah, you seem vaguely. I mean, you seem very friendly and nice, but I mean, musically, you seem very terrifying. So I can see
Yeah.
people being a little put off for sure. Yeah, yeah. So like you said earlier, you put out that those a few songs at the end of last year that demo you put out, and then there was a single recently, I think, last month that went on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the three song demo at the end of December, I think. And then yeah, we just put out a single in March 17th, I think, which is the single of our upcoming album, which we haven't officially announced yet, but will be coming out on May 5th.
Cool. That's the
If
soon.
all goes well. That is soon. Yeah.
Well, that was kind
We
of what
got to announce it soon.
I was gonna ask. Like, I mean, this is obviously leading up to something, right? Putting out these songs. Is it the same songs that appeared on the demo, like re-recorded for this album, plus other stuff, or?
Only two of them. One of them we just decided to scrap entirely because we didn't like it very much. But yeah, two of them will be on the album.
Cool, cool. And then I guess like in terms of hopefully a lot of people have heard the EP. I have the tape; it's really good. How has the band sound progressed? Sort of, if you're listening to this new stuff you're working on, hearing that stuff now, and then hearing of those older songs, which at this point I guess are a few years old. Sonically, how do you feel that you've kind of moved forward as a band? Like, is it very similar stylistically, or do you think that there's been like some leaps into other directions over that
There are
time?
a couple tracks that are pretty similar to like the older stuff. There are some that lean more into like kind of like the straight up like kind of beat down mosh music style. Some that are a little like wackier, and then there are some that are just straight up like 2003 style metalcore that you would hear on like Hellfest or something like that.
Well, that's always
Yeah.
kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think there's been some refining. We've definitely like through the songs that we've been doing in the last couple of years, like we've kind of tried some more like traditional hardcore stuff. We've tried some more beatdown stuff. We've tried to go really wacky, and I think we found kind of a nice blend. But I think one of the biggest sonic characteristics that you will notice is different in this album versus previous stuff is just whatever. We recorded it with Jordan Voth at Ricochet Recording, and it just sounds really good to have, you know, coming from our first singles where we just did it ourselves. It's nice to have a producer who
Yeah.
has such a vision. So Jordan, definitely the fifth member of the band on that one, really putting this album together.
Yeah, well, he
Um,
seems to have a sound, like regardless of who he's working with, right? He's got a pretty wide range of. I mean, they're all sort of in the punk to heavier genres, but he has like sort of a distinct thing that he does that seems to always work as a producer.
yeah, I'd say so for sure.
One of the things I kind of like about referring to that 2003 metalcore stuff, and I think last time I talked to you, we talked about like MySpace music, right? I think that there's this cool thing where genres of music that maybe at one point in time were kind of like shat on by people because they weren't cool anymore. Now there's this unironic, people love that shit. Like people, I mean, new metal seems to all. There's so many bands I've talked to over the years, over the past 3 or 4 years, who have cited new metal and completely honestly, like they love it. And for a long time, that was kind of like you can't say you like new metal, and I think metalcore in some respects has similar a similar vibe to that, where it was like for a while it was, oh no, I don't like that, but now people are just like, no, this is we're inspired by this. Like, what do you think it is? What's happened? Like, why is stuff that wasn't cool now just accepted? Is it people don't care anymore about
Yeah, I think just people
people?
kind of stopped caring. Like, I can like go out and say that I love the song "Higher" by Creed, and I'll have like 10 people go like, "Oh yeah, I love that song," and it's like not like the people that you would traditionally think would be like unapologetic Creed fans.
Sure.
But like, I just think people just kind of stop caring, stop giving a shit. It's like what you like. I don't really care that much.
Yeah, well, I think that's how it should be for sure. I mean, there's
Yeah,
stuff I listen to that people, would never expect and think I'm ridiculous for listening to. But yeah, you should totally like what you like.
like
Do you
it's
think
good
that?
stuff. You gotta admit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for sure, some of it is. Yeah. Do you think that maybe this is because of the internet kind of democratizing things, where everyone has things aren't so much. I mean, things are definitely there's scenes and niches and cliques and everything in any genre of music, but because everyone has access to everything all at once now, that maybe it doesn't matter what you listen to because everything is just kind of right there in front of you, and you don't have to. Oh, I only listen to punk because I go to these shows in this record store. Now it's just all kind of barfed up at you on a computer screen, and there's no limit to what you can find.
Yeah, I think that might be like a good part of it because like back in the day, like I know I'm like kind of talking on my ass right now because I'm only like fucking 19 years old, but it was like the tastemakers were kind of the people who wrote for the publications, kind of
Yeah,
would tell people what to like and what to listen to, and then like as it went on, everyone just kind of started. The social media took over, and like anyone could just say anything, and people are like, "Oh wait, there are other people that like this kind of stuff that I like, and I cannot be ashamed to like it anymore."
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad it's like that now because I'm 40, so I mean I lived through all that stuff where you had to be cool about what you're listening to, and people would judge you horribly. You couldn't find your people if you liked something
I
weird.
mean, my own bandmates still make fun of me for listening to the Bare Naked Ladies and thinking they're the greatest band ever or whatever, and
Does
I'm
that
going to
sneak
keep
into the?
listening.
Does that sneak into your music at all? That influence?
I wish. I don't think anyone else in the band would let me sneak any of that influence into there, but
Yeah.
oh.
One riff. I'll give you one Bare Naked Ladies riff in the middle of a song.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that right now.
I'm looking
Okay,
forward to hearing
cool.
that on the new record. Both of you mentioned earlier that you went like in terms of the sound, you went in wacky directions. What does that mean? I mean, what do you? Is that something specific you're referring to? Is there like a certain song that sounds wacky to you, or what?
We have a song. It's the first track on the album. It's called "Wacky Intro Song."
Oh, literally called. Okay, yeah,
So that's the wacky one. It's
Yeah.
kind of, I guess the wacky comes from just um like juxtaposing different parts together that feel like they shouldn't work, you
okay,
know?
okay,
It's like there's a little it starts kind of weird and then it has like a different kind of weird thing and then it's like a jazz thing and then it's like a really heavy thing and just jumping around between those, but like not for very long in each. It's just kind of like here it is and then oh, all right, okay, here we go. Just like throwing you around into different things. Yeah, I guess that's what I think of as wacky. It's like this shouldn't work together. And it's just 1 minute of just like what's happening.
yeah. Well, and some of that stuff too. I mean, like mentioning having kind of jazz parts and some of the like a lot of your music. I know people I don't know how to explain this really, but people think that anything is that's kind of related to punk rock or hardcore in any way is simplistic and is expected to just be three chords, and you're obviously doing stuff that's way more complex than that and has obviously more technical um, inspiration than just bashing out a couple chords. How important is it to you to have kind of that level of musicianship in the songs rather than just because you could just bash something out and scream and get a similar effect, but not the same kind of overall impact. I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Very important to me for sure to go the stranger route, you know. I'm always like unnecessarily trying to make things weirder. Like whatever for the EP, we wrote one song and it's like got a bunch of sections in seven, and then there's some sections in four, and I'm like, why do we have any sections in four? Forget about the four. Let's add more seven. Take away a beat just for no reason. Um, Yeah, I like things just being overly complicated and like not really leaning into traditional like songwritery instincts is kind of my thing. I don't know. I just like, but also I don't really know how to write a song anyway. So it's like I'm just like putting beep boop boop bop different parts together.
Well, that's maybe a benefit though, right? Not having that kind of, not being stuck in that routine of writing songs the way they're supposed to be written, and then you can do something weird like that, and it just seems it comes out naturally, right?
One of my big revelations for this year, I've like New Year's resolution. I was like, okay, all the music I write this year is going to have no repeating formula, like formal structure to it. You know, I don't want to repeat any sections. I want everything to be like a rhapsody where it's just like it goes through. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Because having a form is a like gives security to the listener. You know, it's like, okay, if I can expect that this part is going to repeat again later, then it's like, okay, now I can bob my head to that. I know what's going on. I don't want any of that. I don't want you to feel safe at all when listening to my music. I just want this part and then this part and this part. And you're just like constantly like that Mr. Krabs meme where he's like, ooh, you know, just like, I don't know. I don't know. Just trying to survive. Well, there's like 30 people doing spin kicks behind you.
So instead of the typical, like the stereotypical having a good beat you can dance to it, it has a confusing beat and you don't know how to dance to
That's it. Yeah. I want a confusing beat where everyone's bobbing their head at the wrong spot and I can look out at the audience and be like, ha ha, ha ha, you don't know the song.
it. How do you how do you write songs? I mean, is it individual members sort of bringing ideas to the group? I mean, especially with something that complex, right? When you have a song, for example, like you just described, where there's no repeating parts, how difficult is that to kind of share that idea with the group and get everyone on board with learning it or with contributing to that idea?
Our other guitarist Simone actually has just been writing most of our stuff for the past for like the album and all that. She would just
Okay.
like she just does the thing where she just writes a whole song and then like presents it to us and we're like, okay, cool. And then our bass player Eric has also started doing that too. I don't think I've written a song for the band since for a while. It's been like almost a year.
Yeah, you wrote most like you wrote the instrumental for the last song of the album. I wrote like number 7 or something, and then like
Yeah.
Eric wrote 2 and Simone wrote like 6 because she's just a songwriting machine.
Sounds like
Um,
it, yeah.
but yeah, usually, or at least for the last album, it's been pretty much individual, write a song, bring it to rehearsal, and then like everyone kind of changes their part like a little bit if they need to or whatever. But like, um, yeah, I think the biggest challenge is I often write songs like instrumental first, and then I try to add lyrics, and it's really hard to put lyrics over top of something that's so non-repeating and like all over the place. So then we really struggle, especially when I've written a really challenging drum part, and then I'm like, oh, now I also have to add vocals on top of this. Um, so yeah, that's where when Simone writes an entire song with the lyrics and everything all in there, it's like great, you know, because no extra work. I always write a song and then I'm like, now I better add lyrics to it. And then that takes another 6 months just to figure out where to put anything.
So how do you know what is done with a song like that? I mean, if you spend that much time kind of honing it, at what point is it one of those things where it's like hard to decide when the song is finished and ready to go, or
At a
once you have
certain
it,
point, we realize, oh shit, we have to record this tomorrow.
right?
Let's stop here.
Yeah, fair enough. So with the new record coming out, what do you have planned as far as it's getting into warmer weather, shows are happening hopefully more often. People tend to get out of the house more once the snow melts. Are you guys planning a lot of shows? Any touring, anything like that?
Yeah, we're heading out west in May, so next month actually. I'm going to be announcing that later this week. We're doing Regina, Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, and hopefully Kelowna as well if I
Wow,
can get that one locked down. I've been having a little bit of trouble with that, but yeah, so we got that planned. I'm going to be bringing some more bands through Winnipeg, so we'll probably be opening up for some of those at different points.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tour, which goes out west and then comes back, we're going to end in Winnipeg with an album release show. Um, and yeah, the tour is a joint tour between Hopscotch Battlescars and Means to an End, which is the other 3 members of Hopscotch Battlescars, their second project, which is a straight edge hardcore band.
Yeah, that's
Very
awesome.
fun.
I listened to that demo or whatever it is online. It's pretty good. I haven't heard a straight edge hardcore band in Winnipeg for a long time, so it's really cool.
Yeah, it's very fresh stuff. I think it's super fun. I saw them last week, and then I saw them the week before, and then I'm going to see them again tomorrow. It's really great to watch the rest of my band play without having to play, because then I can just run around and attack people. Yay.
Right on. For people who haven't heard you before or want to kind of keep up with what you're doing as far as new singles and the album when it eventually comes out sooner rather than later, how do they find you online? What's the best way to hear your music and track you down?
Type in Hopscotchbattlescars into Google, and then we'll be the first and only result.
Do you have a preference for where people find it? I mean, I know a lot of people prefer Bandcamp because they actually get money out of it, well, a little bit of money out of it, compared to like the 0.0000 whatever cents of Spotify and stuff. Or
yeah, I'm good with whatever. You can listen to us on Bandcamp, Spotify, YouTube. You can break into someone's house and steal a CD from them and listen to that. I don't really. As long as you hear our music, I don't care where.
Exactly.
Yeah, as long as someone's checking it out.
Someone who's listening to this, you should break into Sam's house and steal his tape, and then
I'm keeping that down. I'm gonna lock that thing up. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was kind of my other question though. Are you putting out physical copies of this new one? Because
yeah,
I'm
probably
old and set in my ways, and I can't figure out. I haven't even tried to figure out Spotify and all that shit. I just prefer tapes and CDs and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that that will happen, because I'm sure I'll be trying to track down a copy of it physically.
Yeah, we'll definitely have physicals. Hopefully they'll be ready for the time we release it. If they're not quite ready by then, they will be ready pretty soon afterwards. We'll
Awesome.
have CDs and tapes. Probably not vinyl, because there's still like a ridiculous waiting period for
it'll take you like 2
getting
years
that
to get
made,
it out.
but
Yeah.
But CDs and tapes for sure.
Is that, I mean, because you're quite a bit younger than me, I mean, is that still a thing? I know that certain genres of music, tapes especially, I've never stopped being sort of the format of choice for a lot of people.
Yeah, well,
are you finding that that's still actively what people are looking for?
The thing with the tapes is that people don't really actually listen to them most of the time. They just get them as like kind of like a novelty thing. But CDs people like and listen to. I like CDs.
Yeah, I
prefer them to vinyl personally. Like, they're easier to carry and they sound better if you don't have like the perfect setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good. They're not people haven't given up on them, obviously, then, eh? I mean,
not totally. They don't. Yeah, I still like CDs.
Cool. And then, obviously, like you said, type in Google Hopscotchbattlescars. I can never say the name fast, and I talk fast, so it's tricky. Hopscotch. I'll just say Hopscotch. Google the name of the band, and you find the songs on the various streaming and whatever. As far as new shows, things like that, is there like a social media you prefer people check out to follow you? And
for new shows, I'm gonna say our own person, like the band account, and I also want to go plug Winnipeg Hardcore Shows on Instagram. That's my promotion company that I run with my friend Jesse Kowalski, and we
cool.
book a bunch of local hardcore shows here.
Is that happening a lot more lately? It seems like every day I see
we had done like about 4 of them in the past year, and we just finally made it like more official. But yeah, we're getting like a band or 2 every month now, which is quite the increase from pre-COVID.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, I guess did I talk to you pre-COVID, or was this in the middle of?
It was like during COVID when you talked to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but like we've been getting pretty good attendance at shows. We've been getting a good like 80 to 100 people now.
Nice.
Which is
that's
pretty good. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.